leave the Zerg player feeling really vulnerable.
With that, we're going in here to the third and final game of this best-of-3 series between NrG.Ostojiy versus VT.Pokebunny. And Ostojiy coming up to the first easy win. I wouldn't say easy win, but first win at Metalopolis. Pokebunny just evening it out there on Delta Quadrant. So we are going to Scrap Station as selected by our Zerg champion. Pokebunny getting the northern spawn here is the green Terran on Scrap. In the the eastern spawn, Ostojiy spawning as the purple Zerg. And yes, this is an ace match. This is a CEVO Finals, Grand Finals here. There's one more best of 3 coming up on L2SC TV right after this. And this is Iced, of course, from L2SC, and I'm joined by Basement Cat.
Yeah, Ostojiy right now got actually the better location, because if you notice, if the Zerg player was in the north location, the creep would not extend all the way to the ramp. And in this position, which is the southern position or the right position on Scrap Station, his creep almost goes all the way to the ramp. So you can actually build spine crawlers up there if you have some early pressure, as well as you are by default a little bit closer to your expansion. So not as many creep tumors are required to get all the way to your expansion. So right now, odds are in the favor of Ostojiy, as seeing what I've seen in the last 2 games is a really solid play coming from him. He's not taken any risks, although he has gone for pretty much the same build both games. Well, not really. Actually, I take that back, because he did the early expansion in Game 1. In Game 2, he did the late expansion. And in Game 2, he went for Roaches first before getting his Mutalisks. And Pokebunny really has, well, both Game 1 and Game 2 has gone for a little bit more of a risky play style. And it's just going to come down to that. Is he going to play a macro game right now against the Zerg player? Because it is Scrap Station, so Zerg automatically has the upper hand because of that long rush distance. So the first thing that comes to mind really for a Terran build order would be fast Banshees, because Banshees are known to be very effective against Zerg players, because the only anti-air they can have in the early game is a Queen, and Queens, although are effective against Banshees, if a Banshee has Cloak, they're going to be rendered useless, as the spawning pool just out underway here for Ostojiy. So I'll be expecting to see some Banshee play coming from Pokebunny. It seems to go with his MO as a kind of a risky player, so I would expect to see that.
Yeah, Banshee, interesting, because this is the same kind of early gas he did with the factory tech, but now there goes the factory. So I would assume he's probably going to do a similar Hellion harass. He was denied in the first game by Ostojiy getting those Roaches out a little sooner. I'd expect Ostojiy to do a similar kind of counter once he reaches the frontier of Pokebunny's base. But Banshee, versus Zerg. There goes the Roach Warren. So yeah, as soon as he sees the factory, did Pokebunny actually see it? Or is he blind countering? No, he doesn't see it yet. He sees the gases up, though, so doesn't see the factory, but he is going to get that Roach Warren started. Ostojiy is going to start saturation on his natural. I wonder if he's going to switch off. He hasn't started the add-on, actually, so perhaps we will see a Banshee harass. It would be very good, because with this Roach Warren, he's delaying his layer tech just that much more.
All right, he has only 1 gas now, so that's indicative of more of a Hellion play style.
Yeah.
So he probably will be going for the same thing he did in Game 1, except a little bit lighter on the Hellions, as I think he noticed in Game 1 that those Hellions were a little bit risky and just too easily killed without that blue flame. Really didn't do as much damage as he wanted. Right now he'd be mainly using that Hellion for scouting and a little bit of harassing. He's building a second one right now, but since there's no reactor, I wouldn't expect to see a main composition with a lot of Hellions in it. He is building a second gas right now, so it's going to be really up to him what he does. No attachment on any of his buildings, so he's going for medevac right now. And drop. It's really... Oh, drop, where?
Oh, no, I think maybe that's what this is going to turn into, like a kind of a Hellion Marine drop really early on.
See, this is what happens when you're sick. You obviously... your brain doesn't function.
Sorry, I scared you. Drop's coming. What? That's the first medevac.
Yeah, hasn't even built the medevac yet. But Hellions, let's see, any kills on these Hellions? No kills on the Hellions quite yet. And Roach is going to be able to handle these Hellions quite easily. Third Hellion joining the fray, all 3 of them running away. So yeah, as you said, drop coming from Pokebunny. This is where the close air distance really gives him an advantage. He does have an Overlord heading over there, but it's just going to be so late. Pokebunny's going to be able to fully unload before Ostojiy sees anything. Ostojiy actually can't see anything right now.
Yeah, here comes Pokebunny. There is no stim on these Marines, but their standard DPS is quite high versus drones. Drones are going to be able to clear out of there. Meanwhile, at the front, though, Pokebunny is taking very significant damage. The Hellions not able to do anything versus these Roaches. They've pretty much just piled their way up there, cleared out a supply depot. They're beginning work on the Hellions and the few Marines that are spawning. Banshee is coming out for Pokebunny, but there is no other army at the front there. So kind of a base trade going on here in a little bit of a sense. Ostojiy does have a little bit of advantage. All his drones are coming up with a few Roaches. That one medevac is going to give him a huge advantage, but the Marines are taking damage. Roaches are being cleared out by SCVs here, but a huge amount of SCVs by Ostojiy were lost. And Ostojiy does force Pokebunny back. Drones all in use here. Not a lot of mining time, or lots of mining time canceled by Ostojiy using that. But the front of Pokebunny's base has been ravaged. Here comes the Banshee. No cloak, no ability for cloak yet. 2 queens out is enough to repel a Banshee, so it's going to come down to very tight micro here as 1 queen is heading back. There they go. They do engage the Banshee. Transfuse is available on this other queen. He hasn't pushed it over just yet. Pokebunny is losing quite a bit here. And checking the worker count, it's 10 workers for Pokebunny, 27 for our Zerg hero Ostojiy, and resource or unit count 45 to 26. So Ostojiy in a really good position here. Siege tanks coming out to help with the Roaches, but Pokebunny's got a long road to recover, especially economy-wise.
Now this is a game. We have a game for you guys. Finally, this is going to be back and forth between these two players. Ostojiy doing a little bit of a lot of harassment in the front of the base just previously, as well as Pokebunny doing the drop in the base of Ostojiy. So right now 13 harvesters versus 34. So Pokebunny taking that risk, has a lot less harvesters than his Zerg opponent. And he actually did cancel that second extractor earlier, but is rebuilding it right now. As it looked like he needed just a little bit more time to bring up that mineral count. As Mrs. knocking on the door.
Looks like queens can get into position. There are 3 queens out. That's enough again to deal with 2 Banshees. Keeping in mind the transfuse. Banshees quite a bit faster. These queens getting pulled way off the creep. So Banshees are going to get to the natural here. Looks like Ostojiy is forcing out another queen at the natural. Very good idea just to rely on queens. Hydralisk, Mutalisk quite a bit away now. Ostojiy doing a great job. No drones will be home, except for they are moving right back now, which is kind of dumb. Queen's getting back into position. Creep Highway has been constructed there for Ostojiy, so he's going to be in a great position to repel these Banshees. Banshee effectiveness has been reduced. Tank Marines left at the front there of Pokebunny's base. No siege mode yet. Only 1 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport. So the ultimate 1-1-1 for Pokebunny right now, and he's going to have a very difficult time recovering. He's still pumping out workers, but 40 workers for the Zerg champion Ostojiy versus the 18 workers right now for Pokebunny. So he's got a big road to come back. Banshee's picking up kills. 7 kills on one, 2 on another, so 9 kills respectively. But here comes the Spire for Ostojiy. An F-ton of Zerglings were just spawned. They don't have speed. That was skipped early on in favor of getting some Roaches out, but just more continuing harassment from Pokebunny, and he's got a really good harassment right now, but he's starting to fall behind economic-wise.
Yeah, he does have an expansion ready and waiting for him to move to that natural, but isn't doing anything right now with it, just letting that, he's actually building workers with it. Banshee's returning back to base to get healed up. 2 kills, 7 or 9 kills, so he did get a couple extra kills onto the main of Ostojiy. Ostojiy building that Spire. Spire off is going to shut down that, or Beetles are going to shut down that Banshee harass quite easily. No cloak, although for Pokebunny, is it could be a useful thing here, although to sacrifice 200 gas might be a little bit too much for him right now, because he is lacking in gas. He only has 1 base and a lot of minerals being mined. Actually, he isn't even using one of the refineries, so a little bit of a mess up there. More harass here by the Banshees. 1 kill only.
Transfuse.
Yeah.
Transfuse was available. Doesn't get it. Ostojiy going to lose his Overlord in the noon kind of island expansion base there. Scan the island. Pokebunny setting up his natural now. No siege mode for Pokebunny. A lot of his gas, I think, that would have gone to Cloak was devoted to those siege tanks. and just getting the medevac numbers back. He only has the one medevac out, but a lot of gas going to the siege tanks, as Ostojiy is setting up the gold expansion right now, so he's getting ready to go for the gold. Mutalisk coming out though for Ostojiy, and Pokebunny is going to be probably a little perturbed by this, as he does have the Marines out. They do not have stim though, so it's going to be very difficult to run down these Mutalisk with just the few Marines with no stim.
Engineering Bay only just started here by Pokebunny. Possibly a mistake there, a lapse in judgment. As in the last 2 games we saw, he had that timing on the Engineering Bay pretty much down pat, and actually, he pretty much shot himself in the foot as the Engineering Bay blocked access of those Marines to the Mutalisk. So, it's just not a good thing here right now for Pokebunny, losing a lot of his SCVs, as well as losing a couple stranded Marines over there next to the production facilities. Is going to back out right now, but I think he's just done an incredible amount of damage to VT.Pokebunny, as well as an interesting thing. In Brood War, Engineering Bays were able to be lifted off, and right now they're not able to be lifted off in StarCraft 2. Probably won't be happening anytime in the future, and that's actually a bad thing here for Pokebunny, as it'll render his second Vespene Geyser pretty much a lot less efficient than normally, as more Mutalisks just taking out everything like it was Chinese food. I know I say that line way too many times, but I just love it to death. As finally a missile turret in his expansion, missile turret going up in his main, but it's just not good for him at all. Looking at the income tab, his income suffering tremendously, as well as the harvester count is almost half, or less than half, about a third of what Ostojiy has right now. Pokebunny in a very, very, very desperate situation. He's going to go for the attack right now, and I think this is going to be the last and final push from Pokebunny, because if he's unable to do enough damage to Ostojiy right now in this one push, he's not going to win the game.
Yeah, Pokebunny's going for broke here. He's really behind economy-wise. He's lost all the Banshees. There's just a Mutalisk, not a lot of Banelings, no major Roach numbers or anything just yet. Gold expansion is done for Ostojiy. He's starting saturation there. But Pokebunny's going to go for broke here. I don't know if Ostojiy getting in position for a base trade. I wouldn't recommend that, as the Terran can just kind of fly away. Mutalisk can take care of that, but Ostojiy is in the front here of, Pokebunny is in the front of Ostojiyy's base. No siege mode, just 6 tanks, trying to go in there for broke. Banelings coming out. There's Mutalisk zergling all over Pokebunny's base. They're going to be getting to take out the remaining supply depot. So a bit of a base trade going on here. Again, I don't like this for Ostojiy, because the Terran's, I think, base trading ability is quite a bit stronger. But the Baneling shut down just half the Marines there.
I was looking at that position ever since he was at the ramp. I was like, you gotta have your siege tanks in front, no matter what. You have to have your siege tanks in front. Especially since they don't have siege, they have to take the front of the force. And then what happened, as you saw right there, GG of course being called, but as you saw right there, those Marines were trapped by the siege tanks, so doing the opposite of what they should have been doing. And all those Marines going down pretty much as easy as melted butter.